Intro film. Take one. Intro. Ja, je hebt nou met mijn alter ego te maken, hè? Intro movie.
Oh, shit.
Take one. Hello everybody. Ik kan echt niet praten met een ding beugel, jongen.
Ja, ik hoor het. Ik hoor je struggle.
Ja, Hello everybody, it's Jonathan from RedPack Productions, where the slogan goes, if we can make you sound good, you might as well quit. Today we're here with Lorenzo, a good friend of mine. We worked together on some projects earlier, from black metal to carnivals hits. So I asked him if we could do a little interview and talk us through his gear, which bass he uses, and stuff like that. Welcome, Lorenzo. Thank you very much.
Pleasure being here.
So my first question, I wrote some down here. How long are you playing bass guitar?
I have been playing bass guitar for about 13 years now. I started off playing guitar. Typical bass player story. And then about after a year of playing, I got duped into playing bass by some friends. And then I just never quit playing.
Really?
Yeah.
So they tricked you?
Kind of.
Why?
Well, it was supposed to be...
Guitar is way cooler.
I know, but it was supposed to be a temporary thing, and we were all gonna chip in for the bass. Like, we were all gonna pay for it together.
Yeah.
We didn't. I paid for it.
Yeah,
I paid the price. Literally, figuratively.
13 years later, you're still playing
I'm
the
still
damn
playing.
thing.
I paid the price.
Okay.
Yeah.
13 years playing
Yeah.
bass, and for how long do you play the live gigs?
I started playing live really soon. I think I played guitar for about a year, and then started playing bass, and a couple months after I was on stage, just messing around. Yeah.
And with what band was your first gig?
It was
what style?
A combination of like a cover band and originals band.
Okay.
And I think we wrote like one original song, and it sounded like crap, and we had some covers.
And what covers? Pop or
pop rock?
Okay, pop rock.
Yeah,
like,
we did.
Baby, hit me one more time.
Almost. We did "Kiss Me."
Okay.
From what was it? Sixpence None the Richer. Hate that band name.
Nice.
"Kiss Me," "Save Tonight," and
"Save Tonight."
But a cover version. Not sure. Someone.
Okay.
And then we did Radar Love.
Ah.
Yeah.
Golden Earring.
Yeah, I messed up. I messed up bad. I forgot to play one of the simplest bass lines ever. It's just it's like two notes. And I just forgot.
Yeah, it was your first year.
That was my first gig, my first...
Don't be too hard on yourself.
I know, but I'm traumatized to this day.
And
I feel it.
And what kind of projects do you do now?
I'm in...
14 years later.
Yeah, okay. So, main band, funk rock, Civil Discourse. We just started playing out, and, you know, it's going well, so that's a good one. I have a progressive metal outfit, for which I also write a lot, same with the funk rock band. Then I have a more modern kind of metal, industrial kind of thing that is going to come out soon, where I'm mostly a session player. Then I have a black metal band, where I'm also now a session player, and I play live for them, and I write bass lines that are recorded in the studio.
Nice. Which studio?
That's this studio, actually. There's a grindcore project I'm working on myself, which is a passion project.
Okay.
I'm
not a passion for grindcore?
I'm not a big fan of grindcore music in general, but the mentality behind it, yeah,
you like
it. I love it.
Okay.
So that's one thing, and I'm a fill-in bass player for an Iron Maiden cover band.
Oh, really?
Yeah, tribute band. Of course.
How much time do you have, man? You don't have any girlfriends, I guess, because with 20 bands and yeah, that's your girlfriend, right?
Basically, I like him curvy.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I go to school as well.
Okay.
So yeah,
Rock school.
metal school.
Really, metal school.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's literally called the Metal Factory in Eindhoven.
Okay.
And I just finished my second year. Whoa. And 1 year to go, and then I'm on my own.
Okay.
Pretty
Nice.
much. But it's going well so far.
Okay. Keep on the good work. First, I want to talk about like new bass players, like the younger kids out there who maybe looking at this YouTube video, grandpa, and searching for new gear, what works, what doesn't work. Let us pick your brain on this subject. What can you give the youth for playing the bass?
I think the most important part is play. Whatever you do, just keep playing because you're gonna suck. That's a given. You're gonna start off, you're gonna suck. Like everyone starts there. But over time you will get better. If you put the hours in, you will get better. And eventually you'll be playing in bands and making some money and losing more money. But you'll be making music and you'll be enjoying it. And I think that's a very important part of it. And
so what kind of level could you get from like in a year or a month or sometimes I have the feeling people don't know how much time it takes to learn an instrument.
It depends. It's gonna take a lot of time, but it depends like how many hours do you put in each day. Do you have a teacher or don't you? Do you watch a lot of videos? Do you play a lot of covers? You know, there's a lot you can do to help yourself
but
grow.
It all comes down to the
but it's all
hours,
just hours,
right?
just putting the work
so
in.
How much could you advise someone who wants to study growth, who has to go to school to work, or
if you do
how many times a day, how many times
an hour each day, like half an hour to an hour each day.
Okay.
Focused, that's a good one. I was kind of insane, done playing it, and I played 8 hours each day.
Really?
Like I got home from school, I played the bass, I played guitar, and then I played bass, and then I played both. Then I maybe had dinner, and then I played some more, and then I went to bed, or I didn't. I usually fell asleep in school. So yeah, grade A, like I was a top student.
Okay, nice.
Totally. But yeah, like if you put in an hour each day, you know, and you focus what you do, then you're gonna get somewhere.
But in an hour each day, where are you in a month? Then you have 30 hours in. What can you play and what not?
Depends on the person. Like it's gonna take different amounts of time for different people. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And 30 hours on the whole isn't that much.
No.
But if you make it count, you're gonna end up somewhere good.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's all about the end goal. Like you want to be able to play your instrument, and if you put in the hours, you're gonna get there for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So put in the hours and practice, or you'll suck forever. Okay. So you have a nice bass here, a Warwick.
Yes.
Why this bass?
It's I have a thing for Warwicks because one of the bands I listened to when I just started playing, Mudvayne, had a bass player who used Warwicks.
Oh, okay.
And I just fell in love. Like I heard the bass tone and I was like, this is it. Like this is just, it was so powerful and
but
present.
You didn't know what pedals he uses. You just saw the bass.
I just saw the bass, but he doesn't use pedals.
Okay.
As far as I know. Like he has a
big
really
ass amp.
Yeah, he has a really simple signal path. Like it's just, I think, bass tuner amp.
Okay.
I guess. But yeah, the bass he uses is a huge part of his tone.
Yeah.
And he uses a Warwick thumb, and Warwicks are known for being mid-rangey, and then the Warwick thumb is like king mid-range. Yeah, it's insane. It's really growly. It's very vocal.
Okay.
And I just love the way they sing.
Okay.
So my previous bass literally fell apart. I was just
was a Warwick.
it was an Ibanez.
Okay.
I was changing the strings. I turned the tuning peg and it literally fell out.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah.
But I had been abusing it a bit, putting it through its paces.
Yeah, you were playing it 8 hours a day, man.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I was playing it a lot, so it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
And I found this secondhand, and I was like, I'm gonna get it. I need a bass. I'm gonna get this bass. It's one of the made in China rock basses, but despite that, it's really well built and it sounds good.
And today off cam, you told me you already bought a new one, right?
Yeah. I bought another Ibanez bass, but it's one of their lesser known series. It's called a Road Gear. They're kind of like a classic styled bass. They're more like Fenders, the body shape and everything, except for that they do still have 24 frets. So you have the full range, like several octaves.
Yeah.
Single coil, humbucker, passive mode, it's very
versatile.
Yeah, it's
because you're a pretty versatile bass player, right?
Yeah,
That's why you bought
I need
that.
to do a lot of things, different things. So yeah, and I also bought it because I just love the way it looks.
Okay.
It's classy. It's a classy bass.
Classy. He likes classy. Let us talk about the gear, the pedals. The pedals you brought for this demo, because we're gonna record some crazy ass playing of this guy and then listen to the gear he uses and test it out. How did you collect these pedals and why in this order? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I started gigging really early, and then I just played instrument through amp, through, whatever cab was available, and that was fine. That worked for years. And eventually I started getting into more serious projects, and I needed just a bit more options. I needed more flexibility in what I could and couldn't do on stage and how I could and couldn't sound. So I think it was the guitar player, someone I know.
It's always the guitar players.
So it's always someone advised me to look into a Sansamp, a Tech 21 Sansamp bass driver. A lot of people know them because they've been around for ages and they just sound good.
Everybody loves Sansamps.
So many people hate them.
Oh, yeah, do they?
Yeah. But they're full of it.
Yeah, they're full of shit, probably.
But so it started off with the Sansamp, and because I also played guitar, I got interested in using distortion pedals and drive pedals on bass. So I started off with a Bass Big Muff and a Boss ODB3. I had a Billy Sheehan Deluxe pedal at some point, and all these different drives, and I liked the way they sounded, and there were a lot of effects I used on my guitar that I used on bass as well, and there was a lot of crossover, and eventually through playing live and doing gigs with many different bands, I eventually settled on a specific setup that was able to contribute something to every band I was in.
Yeah.
And it's a really simple chain, and there's been a lot of different drives and some extra effects that I swapped in and out depending on the project and depending on what I felt like. But eventually, I settled on a really simple setup: tuner, preamp, a gate to help with noise, an extra effect to spice up the cleans or to add something special, and a drive pedal as a flavor enhancer.
Okay, thanks for how do you say that?
Contributing.
Thanks for je contributie. Bedankt. Let us take a look at your gear. Okay, Lorenzo, walk us through your gear.
Yes. Okay, so right there, slightly off screen.
Yes.
I have a Boss Chromatic tuner.
Okay, nice.
Nothing special. Needed a tuner with a good buffer, so I got this one.
And what do you mean with a good buffer?
A good buffer is a buffer that takes your signal from your bass or whatever comes in front of it and gives it a bit of a boost so that it stays intact throughout the rest of your signal chain.
Does this give it a boost?
A boost as in it something with impedances and stuff, but it makes sure that your signal stays intact throughout the rest of the signal, which is handy if you're using a lot of pedals or if you're just using long cables and you have a passive bass. So yeah, I don't know the specifics, but I know that it helps, and I find that it helps. Hey.
So not only a tuner, but also helpful for your signal strength, eigenlijk.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So that runs into a noise gate, which is an ISP Decimator 2 in my case.
Decimator, yeah, baby.
Exactly. I use it to just...
To decimate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
Like, nothing left to say. That's it, really. I use it as early on in my chain as I can to help prevent string noise from going through the rest of my signal.
Yeah.
And that's usually... like, string noise is usually the most bothersome sound you can have. So, yeah, I don't mind white noise from using distortion or drive or whatever, but string noise and such, yeah, that's kind of a...
But you only have string noise when you play, right? Not when you're not playing.
Well, if you keep your hands completely still, sure, but, moving around on stage, it's always a bit messy, it's a bit chaotic, so you're never completely still.
Okay. And
neither is your left hand, so yeah, so it's nice to keep the signal a bit clearer. That goes into a MXR envelope filter.
Boss envelope filter, yes, yeah, baby.
A bass envelope filter specifically because, different frequency range. It's really cool. It has a dry, it has a wet, which means regular bass signal, envelope filtered signal. I set it up so that it's kind of unity gain, but it loses a bit of low end to make the quack attack more audible, because when I set the dry to unity, it just overwhelmed when I turned it on. So this is like a pleasant middle ground, and I can use it to funk up a lot of things.
And you have a lot of envelope filters out there. Why this MXR?
Because it just had a really nice quality. And it's really quacky.
Oh, I thought it was less quacky, more analog, right?
It's an analog pedal, so it tames the harshness of the quack, but it has a very good quack.
Okay,
like,
it's really...
It's not a quack pedal,
quack.
But it's quacking.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, no, it's a good pedal. It's analog. It's a bit warmer, so you hear a very pronounced quack, but without the harshness in the highs and the mids. So it's very, very musical. It's a very musical quack.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where did you get these things? Because
they're Mower foot switch toppers.
Okay.
And they make it a bit easier to
stomp it on,
turn your pedals on. And I like to play barefoot, especially with the funk band. Yeah, like it just moves a bit more comfortable.
I'm smelling my finger now because I touched his knob.
Moving on. So anyway, they really come in handy live. If and I'm kind of chaotic on stage as well. So when I forget to turn something on and I have to reach for it quickly, it's like.
Yeah. Okay. Then it's a bigger surface to put your foot on. Okay.
And it helps a lot. So
for the sound, better sound.
Yeah, it's all for the tone. Everything's for the tone. Like right. this, everything. After my MXR envelope filter, I have a distortion pedal, which is a Darkglass Microtubes X7. I've used many Darkglass pedals over the years. Yeah, really? I kept going back and forth and just trying different pedals.
All Darkglass?
Most of it. Yeah, I've tried some others, but a lot of them, they were good, but the build quality wasn't quite there, or there was just some niggles. Mm-hmm. One of my favorites that wasn't a Darkglass was the EBS Billy Sheehan Deluxe Drive, which was a signature drive pedal for Billy Sheehan. Amazing bass player. And
which bands?
Mr. Big, Winery Dogs, Sons of Apollo these days. There's quite a lot more, but I know him from Mr. Big. Went to one of their concerts when I was 18 or 19 and just blew me away. First time I saw him live, you know, it was just, with Paul Gilbert. And, oh man, crazy. Amazing.
Nice.
So that was a really cool pedal, but it broke down on me more than once. And I bought a different, like I had 2 of them and both of them died on me. So yeah.
Okay.
That sucks. Yeah.
But still Darkglass, so you have faith in this pedal. That
Definitely.
It won't break down.
They haven't so far. And I've been using them for like all the different kinds for like 5 years, I guess. I think I got my first one in 2014, but I've had a couple, and they've survived a lot. Okay. So yeah, they're well built and they sound great for what I do, especially.
Nice.
And this one is a crossover distortion, which means that the lows stay clean, the highs get distorted, and that makes for a much
cleaner tone.
It's cleaner. It's more punchy. It's fuller, and it's dirt without the messiness.
We're gonna hear it in a minute. So I'm
definitely.
really.
You're not just gonna hear
curious.
it distorted. So that's gonna be fun. This is a very versatile pedal.
Okay, nice.
And speaking about versatile,
ta-da!
Sense and Bass Driver. Been using this, a form of this for 7 years now. Like, ever since I started gigging more, I got a bass driver and I've never looked back. I have looked to the side and tried a different flavor, but I ended up back with
which one?
The VT Bass DI, which is also a Tech 21 pedal, but it's voiced differently. But I prefer the drive on this one, and I don't use a lot of drive on it. I keep it relatively clean.
Yeah.
But I do use some of it to give my signal a bit more life.
Mm-hmm.
And I just preferred the way this one handled it. So it has mid control, which they didn't before. You can toggle the frequencies for mids and lows.
Yeah.
And it's just stupid versatile, and I use it for everything. This is my bass tone. Like everything I do, this comes first. Thing, send it to amplifiers, send it to PAs.
So when you're on stage, you're sending this to.
This goes. There's an XLR out that goes to the mixing table.
To the desk.
And then there's a direct. Well, not a direct. There's a quarter range out that goes to whatever amplifier is on stage. Okay. Usually straight to the power amp or effects return to bypass preamps on stage.
Yeah, because, you don't need it with this.
Yeah, exactly. This is my sound box, and this is my flavor portion.
Nice. Okay, great. Let us hear what it can do. You used your bass envelope filter.
Indeed.
On this part, walk us through what you did and what your settings are.
Well, for our run through just now, I simply turned it on with the settings I use for live. Settings I use for live are meant to be played gently.
Okay.
And the recording was a bit more aggressive, so it gave a really bright, snappy quack very quickly. But that wasn't necessarily the sound I use or the way it sounds live, because it's very sensitive to dynamics. So the way
if you play it harder, then
if you play it harder, it quacks harder. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
So what I did was I set the decay and Q and sensitivity until it gave me a very responsive, quick quack.
Quack, yeah.
But not one that to get a kind of wobble that doesn't really overtake the rest of the signal. Like it's very smooth. It's kind of like a slow instead of a
whack.
Yeah.
No ducks for you, huh?
No ducks for me.
No.
But the sensitivity is set pretty high because live, the parts I play them pretty gently, pretty softly, and it kind of went a bit sharper than I intended to go, so I wanted to show the difference between having the sensitivity set higher or lower.
Okay, so then I'll put on the part again and let us hear what that does. This is dry, right?
Yeah.
And with this one you blend in
just the clean bass signal. So this is purely the effect.
For the low end.
Yeah. So in a way you can even use it as a clean boost.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, because it's not even close to being, well, it kind of distorts your sound, but it's not intended to be. So that's a cool side effect. So yeah, all I did was change a bit of sensitivity, and you get a very different sound.
This is the cue, right? The frequency where it...
Yeah, it's where it peaks, basically, because it kind of sweeps to a frequency, to a sound, and then you kind of, with the sensitivity, you determine how easily it does that. Like how but it's kind of like pushing whatever in whatever direction, like pushing someone on a swing. You know, that kind of principle.
But
like
the envelope is like a low cut too, right?
I think
because if you take out the
which is why you have the dry signal to blend back in, so you don't lose too much lows.
No. Okay, nice. Let us see what settings you were on.
Like this, basically. Here.
So dry at 12 o'clock, FX on 2 o'clock, sensitivity 3 o'clock, Q on like 11.
Yeah, and decay on 10.
Okay, nice. Thanks, that was pretty cool, I guess. Okay, now we had the chance to see to hear the Microtubes X7 in action. Yeah, tell us what you did and what setting you use on this kind of tone.
So the sound example was a bassline for a grindcore project I'm doing, and it had to be full, but it also had to grind, obviously. So what I did was I set the low side to be quite mid-heavy. The guitars are going to be scooped and dirty, so you need to get the mids from somewhere, and it's going to be the bass in this case.
Yes.
So I set the low pass, which decides how much of your low end and mids stay clean and come through, and I set it to.
So it's not really.
It's not
taking out the lows, but it's.
No, it's.
It determines where it distorts.
Yeah, the low pass it kind of decides how much you compress. Like the clean lows you want to compress and the lows you want to keep clean. So this is just purely a clean signal to keep the low end punchy and tight.
So these three knobs work
these
together.
Controls here, yeah.
Okay.
Like so low comp, compressor, low level, and the low pass. So this decides the clean portion, and I want the mids to be clean as well. So I turned it up quite a bit to around, I think, 400 hertz, which is, well, you know, mids, low mids, and lows.
So these don't get distorted.
So these stay clean.
And get compressed with this.
Yeah, they get compressed, but they do stay clean.
Yeah, okay.
And then I set the compressor first to about 11 o'clock because it compresses. It keeps the lows and mids chunky, but it doesn't over compress them. So when I play, my dynamics still sort of stay intact.
Yeah.
And it's enough compression to make sure that the drive and the clean lows behave similar when you play, so you don't hear two entirely different signals. Like, it does happen a bit because that's kind of the sound I picked, but it's on the whole it still sounds like one sound, one player. One signal, one player, one bass being being distorted and processed. Yeah. So that's that side of the signal, and the low level is just the level. Yeah, it's because it's compressed. You need to turn it up a bit. Okay. So, and also I want to keep. And does it only level up the part that you low pass? Yeah. Okay. It's purely for the clean low side of the 400 hertz and down. In this case, you're pumping that a little bit. Yeah. Okay. And I want to keep the signal in the mix a bit cleaner and a bit, punchier. So I always kind of set the clean lows to be a bit louder than the distorted highs and mids. Yeah, okay. Which is what I did here as well, as you can see. And then So this, one last question. This goes up from 50 hertz till 500 hertz, the low pass. Yeah. And then the high pass goes from 1K to 100 hertz. Okay, nice. So these two overlap. They overlap for sure. Yeah. And it makes for some interesting sounds. Yeah. And you can choose to keep everything as separated as possible to get a cleaner kind of drive. Yeah. But it's also really interesting to play around with when you have them overlap, because then in the mix you can definitely hear a lot of layering going on, which is, you get a richer bass sound. It's not just a drive with a bit of lows, it's also the clean part that kind of pushes through and fills it up. Yeah, and you can blend them really great with these. Exactly, and then you have the EQ to tweak it as well. So I went for a kind of more cutting drive, but not as cutting as it can be. The highest you can set it is 1K, and that makes for a really sharp distorted sound. Yeah, so everything above 1K will distort, right? Yes, and everything below it stays clean. Yeah, okay, that's the idea of the high pass. So when you do that, especially with the bass, you get a really sharp signal, and it's nice in some contexts, but in this case it's better, for me anyways, it's preferable to have it be a bit fuller than that in the drive. Yeah. So it grinds more than it cuts, because that's kind of the idea. So you set I have it set to around 600, 700? Yeah, 600-700, I guess. I do it all by ear. Yeah. And clock times. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, that's how you document it. Eh? Exactly, 1:30 maybe. Yeah. So, and that makes for a pretty grindy drive, and because it's a smaller portion of the signal getting distorted, you can turn the drive up a bit more. Yeah. Or you need to turn it up more to get a proper drive going, because there's less energy going into it, so it distorts less by itself. Yeah. But if you turn it down to like 100 hertz, you can just turn the drive down entirely and you still get a good crunch. Okay. So that's pretty cool. And then the levels to balance. And then on the whole, because I do, like, the cleans get a bit oomphy, a bit boomy, so I turn down the... And this is a shelf, right? Low shelf, exactly, the low shelf. I leave the mids where they're at, because, I set them to taste with the other knobs, and then I boost 1K a bit, because that influences the way the drive sounds in the whole, and because I already turn it down compared to the clean, it makes for a nicely balanced sound. So
And the EQ is after all these
after
settings.
all of this, yeah.
Okay,
That's
this
at
is
the end
the
of the chain.
combined signal of the
Yeah.
clean low and the distorted highs, and there you have like a master
volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you get a 3-band. It's a 4-band EQ with, and 2 of them are shells.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Cool.
this one shelves from 5K.
Okay.
5K
And this shelves from the lower
80 hertz.
80.
80 hertz down, and this from 5K and up.
Nice.
So I always turn it down a bit to make sure it doesn't get too harsh, because I base it on playing live, and when things get amplified, they tend to get a bit harsher anyway.
Yeah.
So I prefer turning it down. It also helps it sit and mix better, because it's a bit duller, but that makes it more audible in a mix of really sharp and clear other instruments, in my experience. So that's the way I have it set, and
Cool.
that's what you heard just
And
now.
I see here direct output and parallel output
Yeah.
and input output. What does
Well,
that do?
input and output are, regular inputs and outputs, as in signal goes in, signal comes out
Guitar
modified.
in, guitar out. Yeah.
Yeah, parallel output is the signal from the input directly. Like it
like
should
a
be
clean-
hardwired to the other. So if you want to maybe make several signal chains, or just split it at this point, so you have a distorted signal or partially distorted and an entirely clean signal, you can do that. You can just
nice.
loop it through, and the direct out is to send to a PA, but I use my Sans amp for that, so
Yeah.
I never use it.
So this is the distorted sound then. The
Yeah,
direct
that's
out
the
after
same signal as from the output.
Yeah. Cool. Nice, man. Shall we put it on, and then you can tweak the knobs a little just for fun?
Let's go.
Let us see. Okay, Lorenzo, thanks for sharing your gear and your thoughts on bass playing and bass players and sounds and what kind of sounds you can get with your pedals and whatnot. I don't know if you have a last thought you want to share with us.
It was just fun doing this, you know, just, I don't know, messing around, doing something different. And I'm one of those people who had to learn everything by doing it and just, you know, like falling flat on my face so many times. So whatever I can do that helps someone, you know, like get that bit further than where I got.
Nice.
Like it's fun helping people.
You're just a good human being.
No, I'm terrible, but I enjoy helping people. I enjoy, you know. So this was fun to do, and you know, if anyone got anything out of it, that's great. You know, that's good enough for me.
So thanks for watching. Jonathan out. RedPack Productions.